Man, I just love that music. Well, anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to Real Talk Fins Talk, where I'm your host, Steve Malloy. And joining me as always is Mr. Rob Mosley, aka Dolphin Thirsty. And guess what? We got some special guests tonight. We got the Battered Phins Fans. We have the Bearded Fanatic and Manny, and we have Danny, who is unfortunately a New York Jets fan.
Set it up. Set it up. Set him up for failure right away. Set him up for failure right away.
Yeah.
I am unbiased in my takes.
Okay. All right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody tonight for joining us. And remember, we may not always agree everything Miami Dolphins, but there's one thing we can agree on is we are all Dolphins.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to start with Rob tonight. Rob, what do you got going on at DolphinThirsty.com?
Just the same old. Wrote about Connor Williams not being at camp today. Yesterday, I had a great article until today because yesterday I was predicting should be no holdouts. Everyone should be at the camp, and then that got blown out this morning when I read Connor Williams is not at camp.
Right.
So because people were saying, Wilkins or Seiler, one of them may miss, but I was reading they weren't going to miss. No one talked about Connor Williams, and he was AWOL today. They say they've been in contact, so not absent without leave, but it's unexcused.
Mm-hmm.
And, so we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't lead this into the regular training camp. Hopefully they get it all settled in his butt to be back in there. And then, on the Dolphins Thirsty here on YouTube, I'm trying to grow that. So just all kinds of fun stuff. Thank you, Steve, as always, for giving me my promotion.
Hey, no problem. And I just want to welcome both of you guys down there. Thank you very much for joining the show tonight. I'm going to start with Manny, then we'll follow up with Danny. First thing I want to ask y'all is, Manny, tell us a little about yourself and how you became a Miami Dolphins fan.
So I am Cuban, and you would assume with most people that are Cuban, you like baseball. That's definitely your go-to.
No. I like my coffee. I like my cafe.
Yeah,
my
exactly.
Cuban coffee.
and growing up, I was not a fan of baseball at all whatsoever. And Pee Wee football for me, football right away, that it became a passion. My early fandom started back in 1992. Just showed my age there a little bit. And then first and foremost, I grew up in the era basically watching Dan Marino at the peak of his performance, and I listen, my Facebook name is Manny Marino just because I would tell people when I was younger, like Dan Marino's my dad, just to throw that out there. And but yeah, always been a big time Dolphin fan. I got a little bit memorabilia behind me, and then all season ticket holder. As soon as I was able to basically pay for it on my own, I said, I'm going to become a season ticket holder. And little by little, since 2014 to where I am now, it's been a long time supporter of the Miami Dolphins.
Excellent. Danny, what's your story, buddy?
Let's see. I moved down during high school, and I wasn't a real big football fan, honestly, when I was living in New York. I knew that I had a team. It was the Jets, right? But I wasn't hardcore. I moved down here, and I started meeting people like Manny and just other people in my classes. And football is king in Miami. In New York, it's baseball. But I moved down here. Football is king. People knew I was from New York, so they were like, oh, you're a Jets fan? Oh, we really don't like you. And it got to a point where I was just getting so annoyed that it just cemented like, okay, I really want these Dolphins to lose because everybody keeps coming at me. So I kind of just made my love for the Jets grow. My first full football game that I ever watched from beginning to end was the Midnight Miracle. If you guys remember Monday Night Football, we made that comeback.
Yeah.
That was the first game that I literally watched from beginning.
Yeah, that was an awful. You just want to throw that game in there. This is a random. Fake spike. Anyone say fake spike? So let me throw some
before my time. But
that random thing in there.
That's how it started. I remember that Monday, everybody was giving me crap about how the Jets were going to get their butt kicked that night, and then I was like, I got to watch this game that everybody's talking about, and it just started from there. And then, of course, I met Manny that same year, and it's been me and him back and forth since then.
Yep.
Great. That's good. And I want to welcome everybody in the chat. I appreciate you joining us tonight. I see TD Fins Talks.
Yeah, I saw that too. What's up, TD?
Thank you, brother. Thank you for joining us tonight. My computer went off. There we go. Okay. So here's what I want to do. I want to ask you both, okay, both a question. I'll start with you, Danny, and then we'll go on to Manny.
Let's go.
So, how did you two meet each other? You being a Jets fan, Danny, and Manny being a Dolphins fan. How did you two meet and get together and start the show and all that good stuff?
If for those of you, obviously you guys watching, you don't know how we actually look size-wise. Manny is bigger than I am. And when we first met, I was trying to fight Manny.
He was.
That's how we met.
Were you in? Was this in school or
Yeah.
It was a pickup basketball game.
Okay.
And I found out afterwards, didn't know how to play basketball. He's a football guy on a basketball court. I was a basketball guy that was getting very upset, and it got to a point where I was like, this guy's just doing this on purpose. And that's kind of how that's the first time we met each other. And then from there, things calmed down. He kept coming out there. We kept playing, got to know him a little better. And that's how we initially met. I wanted to fight the bigger Manny, which probably wouldn't have gone well for me, but I would.
How about you, Manny? What's your take on what Danny just said?
Yeah, I honestly didn't know until somebody told me. He's like, no, he really wanted to fight you. And I listen, I'm a lover, not a fighter, but if you're gonna push the buttons, for sure. But yeah, like I said, I've always been a football guy, and Danny, good basketball player, very finesse, and I'm just a powerhouse trying to get to the rim. I'm here like bowling people over, thinking I'm playing football, and on the concrete, that's a big no-go. So yeah, it was definitely a little busy at first, but the fandom was always there in the aspect that I was a huge Dolphins fan, and then obviously he became a huge Jets fan once he got down to Miami. But one thing we've always done well with one another is once we talk about our teams, we're as unbiased as it comes. Like the reason that we're able to do a Dolphins and a Jets show together is most of his Jets fan base will tell him the same thing. We're like, he's potentially like the only Dolphin fan I could actually listen to talk Jets football, because I'm as unbiased as they come. I'm very unbiased with my team, and if my team's doing shitty, I'm gonna be like, yeah, my team's doing shitty. I'm not gonna sugarcoat things for my fan base or his fan base. I'm always gonna keep it real, and that's kind of we tried to do the Benchwarmers podcast back, I think, Danny, 2015, 2016. Yeah, and then life got in the way, but we had dropped like 30, 40 episodes, and we've always had very good chemistry with one another. And then ultimately, fast forward to last year, he's like, I think we got it. Let's do this. Let's put the Battered Fans network out there. Let's start with the Dolphins. Let's start with the Jets. Little by little, we'll branch that umbrella out. And, full season in, and here we are in season 2, and we just dropped our episode 1. We took 3 weeks off, like I told you guys, off the air. And June 20th, we'll be back on dropping our shows again.
All right, great. Now
I did appreciate that Razor Ramon versus 1, 2, 3 Kid comment right there by Evan Bourne. I'm a big wrestling fan, so I appreciated that.
There you go. We got all kinds of fans on this network.
Yeah, because they got a wrestling show on this network too. So
nice.
No holds bar.
Listen,
I don't know what night. Evan would have to tell us what night. But
we're all about the Attitude Era, though. Danny still sticks with it, but I'm all about the Attitude Era when it comes to wrestling. I'm not too big on this current age of wrestling, but that's neither here nor there.
Got you.
I'm a way ahead of you. I like the Dusty Rhodes days and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
The American Dream.
And NWA.
Yeah. So I like Florida Championship Wrestling back in the day.
Wow.
But anyway, back to football. So now I got a question for one each, but now I have to split the team. So Manny, what's your favorite offseason move of the Miami Dolphins? And of course, Danny, it's going to be the same to you in a minute about your team, but I let Manny go first.
I think that the easy answer for a lot of people is probably going to be like Jalen Ramsey. But for me, the best acquisition for this Miami Dolphins team has been Vic Fangio for me. The fact that I thought Josh Boyer was running this defense horrendously last year, especially with not having Byron Jones on the field last year to be able to help X on the opposite side of the field. You got Kader Kohou, and he did a very serviceable job. Listen, the guy, undrafted rookie coming in and trying to fill those shoes, I think he did a bang-up job. But the type of defense that they were running the year before when they had Byron and X in the field, we couldn't run that last year, and it showed a lot throughout the season. But I think the fact that Vic Fangio has never had a defense worse than 5th in the league is just going to bring that type of presence and that type of help to this team. And I think it's going to be leaps and beyond. Like, obviously, our offense is going to be exciting, but our defense is what was lacking last year. And I think having that addition of Vic Fangio basically putting this defense where it belongs, especially with all the talent that we have on defense, for me, that's been the best acquisition this offseason.
Yep, I agree with you. So you're not too far off the mark. That's what I tell people too. I think Steve's on the same boat. I think he thinks the same thing.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think Vic Fangio is the biggest move that we made in the offseason. I mean, not only is he the defensive coach, but he's assistant as well. Right. So I think he's gonna help Mike McDaniel out tremendously this year.
So Danny, I probably know your answer already. It's going to be hard not to say.
I'll go Dolphins. Don't worry about what it is for the Jets. It's obvious, right? Aaron Rodgers, but the Dolphins.
Oh, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
I don't think enough people are talking about re-signing your 2 running backs, Wilson and Mostert. Like I think that people are talking about Dalvin Cook, like if he's some type of savior. But I feel like these guys, when you look at their stats, they were averaging over 5 yards a carry.
For sure.
Mike McDaniel just liked to play Madden and never run the ball. But when you guys ran the ball, it seemed like you ran it effectively. Now, I don't know if you guys ran it more often, if those numbers would have tailed off. But when you ran it, it was effective. When you guys played the Bills in Buffalo, that first half, it was supposed to be a disaster snow. And I assume that he came in with a game plan. It's going to snow. We're going to run the ball. Halftime, it's like it's not snowing. It's time to throw the ball. And it's like the running game was working. Why did
Mostert was off to an all-pro type game, man. He was he was and then just disappeared. That's a game I talk about almost every episode.
But that's been my grief with Mikey D. I don't understand why he does that. In the NFL, you need a balanced offense. Even if you're a great running team, you need a balance, especially when you're trying to protect Tua. Let's be honest. Everybody knows Tua needs to be protected.
Right.
Let's get a running game going. But
I agree with you 100%. So, he says he's learned from it. He's talked in the offseason and things that he did wrong. He says he's going to work on the play clock management and he's going to not abandon the running game. And he admitted to it. Because it's hard. Like you said, you have, they're like sexy toys out there. You got, Tyreek Hill and Waddle, and you're like, oh, I want to get them the ball. But good old-fashioned football should be well-balanced, and we just were not balanced, unfortunately, many times last year.
And let's be honest, Rob, that game, the first one, not the playoff game, because Skylar Thompson almost beat Buffalo in that playoff game. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. But he was keeping Josh Allen off the field in that regular season game, and that's really all he had to do to beat Buffalo in that first game. You keep running the ball at the end of the game. That Jalen Waddle drop, it is what it is. But you keep handing the ball off to those 2 guys, and you keep Josh Allen off the field, and they never even get that last possession that eventually gave them the lead. Yeah. But that's neither here nor there, right? We're living in the past now. But
hopefully with Devon A-Chain, I think McDaniel has a little man crush on him. So I think hopefully, so I'm hoping that they use him.
I have a man crush on him.
I know he is. Hey, I always say I'm off the chain for A-Chain, So yeah. So it's just I can't wait. But I know as Dolphin fans of the past, we get all, oh my God, I can't wait till we see Fuller in this line. And then comes to be that you hardly ever see them. I know Fuller is because of injury, but all this, but hopefully
for sure
he stays healthy and we see him and they incorporate him.
Cap for Life just put they were averaging 8 yards a carry. See, I wasn't aware of that stat. If that's
it was like 7.9 yards a carry or something. So close to 8.
He had if you're a professional coach, I guess it was his rookie season, but come on, you got to get on that.
And that play clock management in that game was atrocious. But I'd say today, hopefully he learns. That we know as Dolphins fans, rookie coaches are just what we do here. So it's like. And you just knew there was going to be some bumps along the way with a rookie coach, and unfortunately, that's with some of the bumps.
I have a question for you two, because I know me and Danny have talked about this off air, so I'd love to hear your 2 cents, and especially what the people who are commenting think, because they're obviously dropping good tidbits here.
Absolutely.
I'm a person, and I think I'm in the minority, and I said this yesterday when I was on someone else's show. If you get me Dalvin Cook, I'm not going to complain about it. Now, if you're asking me, do I want him in comparison, let's say, to a Taylor Lewan, where you're like, oh, Taylor Lewan's not that, he doesn't stay healthy. But if I could get a healthy Taylor Lewan, let's say 7 to 8 games in a season where I know he's going to protect Tua's blind side, I think I'd rather spend the money there than get another big offensive weapon piece that, at the end of the day, guys, we only got 1 ball. It's like
I know.
We already got a lot of playmakers. And I think for me, I'd rather protect Tua. Austin Jackson, we already know. We're still hoping. Liam Eichenberg, that guy is the biggest question mark there is. That guy gets bounced around by everybody in the NFL. So for me, I don't know about you guys. If you made me pick and you said, who do you want? I go Taylor Lewan instead of a Dalvin Cook. But what do you guys feel?
Well, I was going to follow up with, and Danny made the point about Dalvin Cook, and now you've made the point about Dalvin Cook, which I appreciate because everybody, I wanted the king. I wanted Derrick Henry before the draft.
Yeah.
I wanted him before the draft. And then we got A-Chain, and he's a third-round pick. We just paid him, what, $6 million or
the guy's
something
getting
like
paid.
that?
Right.
Yeah, he's getting paid. So Dalvin Cook, would I complain if we got Dalvin Cook? I'm with you, Manny. No, I wouldn't complain. Do I want Dalvin Cook? No, because you made the great point just there. We only have one ball, and we've got 4 or 5 running backs.
And receivers that want to catch the ball.
And receivers that want to catch the ball. You bring Dalvin Cook over here, right? You're not going to utilize his skills, his potential. Yeah. Now, he can go out and catch some passes. But, hey, Mostert did the same thing last year.
For sure.
He caught 35, 40 passes. And then you got Ingold. We forget about Ingold. But Ingold can catch too.
Yes, he could.
So we're stacked in the running back field now. Now, if this was before the draft and we didn't get A-Chain,
right,
I'm with you. I would have said, yeah, let's go ahead and get Dalvin Cook.
Right.
That's my 2 cents.
The thing is, everybody, I've heard a few people over the last few days on Twitter say Dalvin Cook, you can't compare the numbers between these guys that the Dolphins currently have and Dalvin Cook's numbers. If you look at the numbers that the Dolphins running backs were putting together as a unit last year, they're comparable, if not better, to Dalvin Cook. They weren't used as much. So maybe if you look total, they're not as good. But if you look at the averages, they were producing. So it's not going to be a huge improvement. Yes, I do believe that he's a better player overall. I'm not going to take that away from him.
Right.
But he's one player. We've got a committee of running backs, and now we've got A-Chain, right? So you got Wilson, you got Mostert, you got A-Chain, and don't forget Ahmed, and don't forget Gaskins. Ahmed is a very good receiver, and he's a good little back as well. And Gaskin did well for us when he played.
Yes,
he wasn't that bad.
No, he's not. He's always flies under the radar, Gaskin. He gets in there, he ends up performing okay all the time. So
I mean, we were stacked in the running back area, and I think we should put the money where we really should. We got a gold mine, right? That's what Mike McDaniel said. And why are we protecting our gold mine? Why are we going with 100%. Austin Jackson? Why are we running it back with Liam Eichenberg? And I agree with you, Manny. Liam Eichenberg was getting knocked on his fanny all last year. He had a few good blocks, but hey, anybody, a blind squirrel can find a nut every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
And you guys were talking about the best acquisition that you guys had in the offseason. Let me tell you something. One of the worst was Dan Feeney. I have no idea why you guys took Dan Feeney.
This guy knows him very well.
I mean, I was ecstatic that we didn't bring him back as a Jets fan. But when I saw that you guys brought him, I was like, what are you guys doing? We're trying to – well, not we. I get caught up in these Dolphin shows. I start saying we. You guys are trying to protect Tua. Why on earth would you bring Dan Feeney?
I think it's because he's versatile. He can play guard and center, and we lost Dieter that played guard and center. So they're looking at him as like a backup, someone.
He has a great mullet.
Yeah, he does. He's the kind of guy you'd like to go and have a couple beers with.
For sure. And
that's about it.
And wise, and you're right. I think it's the 2 positions so that he can play. And
depth-wise, he fills 2 positions for sure. But
But I agree with you, Danny. I looked at his stats and I looked at his PFF and all this, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, man.
Why did we get this guy? I mean, why did we let go Brandon Shell? I mean, Dieter would have sufficed.
Yeah.
It was not like Dieter. I don't know. He never got the playing time. It must be something that we don't know.
I don't know.
It's just like some people, like Kinley never got it because he was overweight, big guy, didn't fit Flores or McDaniel's style.
Right.
Yeah, he was a beast, though. He was a beast, but he didn't fit this game for sure.
Yeah.
I got another question here. Was it? Let's see. Did I already? I think I already asked you this.
No, you didn't.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't.
Aaron Rodgers.
That's right, Danny.
Instead of it's coming up.
That's what it was. It was coming up. Okay.
Yeah.
As a Jets fan, right? How are you? Yes. How are you feeling about Aaron Rodgers? Do you think he still has some in the tank?
Yes, he was an MVP 18 months ago. Even if he falls off a cliff, he's not going to be a below average quarterback. And I think unbiased, right? Because I know I've talked to some Dolphins fans, and it's hard to have a conversation with rival fans sometimes. No. But when you talk to somebody that's just talking football, MVP 18 months ago, I think everybody agrees that the Jets had a pretty solid team outside of quarterback last year. With average quarterback play, you could have gotten 1 or 2 more wins, possibly make the playoffs, right? We ended up with 7 wins. Could have gotten to 9 or 10. Right. I think Aaron Rodgers is still at least, not MVP, but at least above average.
Oh, and no, for sure. I hated it when you picked it. I kept on hoping it would fall through some team like
I thought that it would fall through. I wasn't expecting it to really happen.
I was hoping like the 49ers would come snatch him away on the last minute.
That was my fear. That was my fear for sure.
That's what I'd be honest, because I'd rather see the damn 49ers. I mean, though they broke my heart when I was a teenager back in the Super Bowl with Marino, but I still would rather see them than the stinking Jets, because we already got to deal with the Bills and the Jets and it's just tough.
Cap for Life just dropped the best one right there. Yep, that basically the Jets were 3 points away from making the playoffs. Like that's literally.
Right. And look, I don't want to talk too much Jets on here, but there were some games where, for example, we played the Vikings. We made 6 trips to the red zone, and we made it out of there. I think it was 5 or 6 field goals. Like should have.
That was some ugly. That was some
Danny,
and that was Mike White, by the way. That was starting at quarterback.
Oh God!
You're back
Here
to
we
quarterback.
go. Here we go. This is what I want. My next question.
No, Mike White was out that game. You had someone else.
Danny, the Vikings
game he's talking about. Yeah, it was Mike White.
I thought we were talking about the Vikings Jets the Dolphins Jets at the end.
No.
The Vikings,
hey, Danny, don't feel bad. Like if you can't talk about the Jets on here, please.
No,
some of the Dolphin fans need a rude awakening. They need to know what's going on with the Jets. Okay, everybody, you know how it is, Danny. You live down in Miami, so you know the hell that we give the Jets. But I'm telling you right now, man, the Jets have a hellacious defense.
For sure.
You're basically leading into my question now. But before I ask my question that I've been scheduled to ask, where can people find you on your channel if they want to watch you again? Let everyone know.
Well, we are Battered Phins Fans. When we talk Dolphins, we have a Dolphins episode every week. And we haven't decided when we're going to go live, but we're going to go every week. Battered Phins Fans. They're also on Twitter, Battered Phins Fans on Twitter. And then if you're ever interested to hear on the other side, the Jets, Battered Jets Fans, same thing, just different team. And again, Battered Jets Fans on Twitter.
That's how it's spelled right there.
Yeah. So that's where you can find us. So like I said, Manny does a great job taking that Dolphins hat off, talking unbiased Jets on our show. I've had Jets people come and contact me. He's like, man, I love listening to Manny talk. He's awesome, because it's nice to get an outside perspective. Because when you're in it as a fan, sometimes it's good to hear somebody else from outside that doesn't get affected with the win or the loss talk about it. Now, I'm not going to say when it's Jets Dolphins week, I think we both get a little more aggressive towards each other.
Yes. Of course. That's just good nature stuff.
Hey, remember, he's bigger than you. Remember, he's bigger than you.
Evan, if you listening, we got Anthony asking if you can drop a link to their channel.
I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you guys right now.
All right, cool. Sounds good. But anyway, now to my legitimate question. He's busy, so you can go first. And take your fans' caps off. Where do you see the AFC East? Do you still see Buffalo as the beast in the East, like old school until someone beats them? They're still the best team, or
by the way, before he answers this, Danny, can you lead with the tidbit of what you picked the Jets schedule to be against the AFC East? I think that will start the mindset of where you're at with how you think the AFC East is going to play out. Yeah,
last year I felt like the Jets could have won just about every divisional game with Zach Wilson and Mike White at quarterback. With Aaron Rodgers, if our defense doesn't take a step back and doesn't get injured, I think we have a legit chance. The Bills' the game is the only one, but I think we have a legit chance of sweeping the division. And look, and if you know me, you know I came up with this whole battered concept because I am as pessimistic as they come. But with the way this team looked last year, if Aaron Rodgers can be above average Aaron Rodgers, I think that this team has a chance to sweep the division.
I can say that about the Dolphins too, taking my because all of our games last year were very close. Even the game you beat us bad, it looked like on the final score up there.
Yeah, but that was close to the fourth quarter. You guys were in it.
So like I said,
what's his name? Skylar Thompson.
Skylar
Yeah,
Thompson.
exactly.
You guys
and
look
because-
good, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Bryce Hall won that game by himself, running the ball against you guys.
Yeah, so I think we're almost in that same area. That's why I say I'm old school, so I say Buffalo's the best in the division until someone takes their crown. Hopefully, the Dolphins take the crown. But right now they're still the best in the division. But I mean, I think it's going to be a very competitive. And people sleep on New England, but Belichick, no one's going to go in and just easily beat New England.
Aren't they in the mix for Hopkins?
New England,
The
yeah.
Patriots?
Yeah.
But so I say it's not. I don't think New England's going to be outside this, but they're not going to be like some of the times when New England was dominating our divisions and they almost had like a guaranteed AFC East title by the time it was like midway through the season because we all sucked. The Dolphins sucked. The Jets sucked. And, and it's just like, everyone and Buffalo sucked. All of us sucked, and New England just had they were already talking playoffs by mid-season, because we would get our one game a year against them, but that'd be like our Super Bowl. Like, whoa, we beat New England. And then they would go on and win the freaking Super Bowl, So
with the current rosters,
with
the current rosters the way they are, I could see the AFC East looking a little bit like the NFC East for the next, let's say, half a decade, where they haven't had a repeat champion over the last 20 years, I want to say it was.
Yeah.
Every year there's a different divisional champion. I could definitely see that because I
understand.
I understand that the Bills still have Josh Allen. Josh Allen is still top 3 QB in the league. But I think that everybody stopped fearing Buffalo by the end of last season. Like there was a fear factor. When you went into the Bills, you're like, we're going to get our ass
I think they've taken a little step back. Miami had a chance to beat them both times in the regular season last year.
And in the playoffs with Scotty Thompson. So I think that fear factor is gone.
Time out real quick. He's saying your link didn't work. Someone's saying.
Yep.
I don't know.
Drop it right now.
The link buddy draw doesn't work. Only
our good buddy Chris that does the Inter Miami show with Danny dropped that link, and then we're trying to get that fixed right now.
And if anybody's a soccer fan, we do an Inter Miami Battered Heron show. So, and if you're a Marlins fan, we do Battered Marlins. So we're spreading it out in Miami, starting a Battered Heat fans. I mean, I don't know if to call it battered if they end up champions, but starting that in the fall. But
right now they're getting battered.
So I do think that this division is going to look a lot more competitive, definitely, than it has over the last 20 years. And but I do think that the Jets have a serious chance of running the division if all goes well as far as health goes. But again, I'm sure that Dolphin fans feel the same way about Tua, which I don't blame you, because when Tua was healthy, you guys look legit. Now, my only stripe with that is that when he was getting in that MVP talk, it was during that 5-game stretch where you guys were playing like the Browns, the Texans, and then it was those 3 road games, and all of a sudden everything went downhill.
It dropped.
But then you still have that Ravens game that you can lean back on, that he played well in that fourth quarter. So you're still kind of wondering if Tua can do it consistently all year long, especially health-wise. But if he can, I don't blame Dolphin fans for saying that they could win the division. I think that every fan base outside of New England, I really don't think New England
outside
can
of
win
New
it.
England, right?
Yeah. I think the Dolphins, Bills, and Jets fans all have a fair say as far as claiming that they could win the division, and I don't think it's really far-fetched to think either one of those teams could win it.
No, I agree. That's good points you're making. I wanted to ask you something really quick here. What do you think about Mike White?
I love Mike White.
You like Mike White? You think it was a good pickup by Miami?
I think he was a good. I think he could be a great pickup. The only thing is getting an injury-prone backup to back up your injury-prone starter just seems like a bad move, because I honestly believe that if Mike White starts all 17 games for the Jets last year and Zach Wilson doesn't play, I think the Jets make the playoffs. I believe in Mike White. Wow. I think he's very good. But he is constantly getting injured.
Yeah,
I know. That's a problem with the Dolphins.
But we got a backup for him too. We got Skylar Thompson. So.
For sure.
I mean, But
here's the deal. Here's the deal, though. Here's what I said when we picked up Mike White.
Yeah,
I was like, and I still feel that way. I'll tell you why. Wait, hold on.
Okay,
let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. I think Skylar Thompson has a bigger upside than Mike White. And right now, Skylar Thompson is really looking good in OTAs.
Yes.
And I know it's just OTAs. You got to take that with a grain of salt. Still early, But I believe that, I really don't care who the backup is, but I'm just saying,
I hope to never see him.
Yeah, I know. You hope you never see him.
You
but
hope you never want to see
unfortunately-
him. I'm just saying that Skylar Thompson, I think, has a bigger upside to Mike White, and I think he would make the better backup. That's just me.
Well, we'll see how they went out
We'll
of training camp, who gets named. At least now you can have 3 uniform quarterbacks. So we're not going to see some receiver or running back playing at quarterback of both guys. So at least that's good.
We had this running joke last year when we were down to our potential emergency quarterback, and me and Danny were talking about Cedric Wilson, and we're like, well, maybe he could do more at quarterback than he could do at wide receiver, because right now he is the worst pickup of the offseason, because this guy, I expected so much out of Cedric Wilson. Maybe I set my hopes up too high. And
I did. I think
I did too. And you know what? And he was supposed to be the starter,
right?
Even before Tyreek Hill, he was supposed to be our starter. So, man,
they say they still expect him. He happy to be here because unless we trade him, like Anthony brought up, thinking we can trade him, he's going to be on the team, because if you cut him, you have to eat all that money, and this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So he's going to be on the team. But Braxton Berrios, another former Jet, he's on the team, and I think he's going to be a good position.
I like Braxton Berrios.
He's going to help the return game, and I think he matches up perfect with a Tua who likes those quick hitting, and I think he's going to be a good slot receiver for us. Gives us, good stuff. Hey, G-Man, welcome to the show.
And since we are talking about the receiving core, I think Braxton Berrios is going to be the 4th receiver, because he's going to have a full-time job with the special teams, punt returns, kick returns. At least that I'm assuming right now. I don't know.
You got Easy coming out.
Easy I think is going to be our 5th, and I think
Chosen Anderson will be cut.
Chosen Anderson is going to be right behind Waddle and Tyreek.
It's funny. I feel like I have experience with all these players because they're all former Jets players.
I know. It's like
I know, isn't that right?
This is crazy because we used to bring all the former Patriots.
This is why they had you on.
We used to bring all the Patriots down here.
He didn't know. He doesn't know that. But.
Right
now we're doing all Jets. It used, like I said, when it was Flores, it was like Patriots, ex-Patriot, Miami. Now it's like becoming.
You remember when Bill Parcells came over? He started bringing every single ex-Cowboy onto the Dolphins as well, thinking with Jeff Ireland that was going to work.
Oh my God!
We all know how that turned out.
Oh, I know. Well, Jeff Ireland drives me crazy because I was so happy. I've never celebrated a man getting fired in my life, but I remember I had worked a long night, a long day, 12 hours. I'm driving home, hadn't touched the news. I turn around, oh, Jeff Ireland. I'm like, yes, woo, yes. I got home and I almost thought my wife's like, oh my God, you really had a rough day at work dealing with a whole bunch of back. I go, no, I lost it because Jeff Ireland. I lost it just now on the way home. Because I was so happy, but here we are years later, and we're in the same darn hole.
And I was just gonna make mention. Why don't we have that much enthusiasm? Why doesn't the Dolphins have that much enthusiasm about firing Chris Grier?
I think there are fans that want it, but
Can I be an advocate to Chris Grier for a second? I'm probably going to be in the minority on this one, but I think that for the most part, yes, he's missed on some players. But I think as far as drafted players, we're only talking about drafted players here.
Okay, yeah, no, that I agree with you on that.
As far as drafted players, he's done well. Now, as far as signing free agents, the guy definitely needs some help. I think you need somebody in there to help him out and pointing out good free agents. Like the fact that he did not address the offensive line, like when you listen to every single pundit on ESPN, NFL Networks, Fox Sports, what's the biggest question mark on the Miami Dolphins? Tua Tagovailoa's health. How do you protect Tua Tagovailoa's health? By signing some more offensive linemen. And the fact that he did not, well, I think he drafted one in the 6th, 7th round. That doesn't count.
Ryan Hayes.
And then Mr. Feeney from the Jets, obviously another addition that's not going to help. Like the fact that he missed on protecting what it's eventually I think is going to be the franchise quarterback for the Miami Dolphins going forward. I think it's crazy that he did not address the offensive line.
People could say Isaiah Wynn, and then the guy, I can't say his last name, another guy that spent some time on the Jets, Cedric whatever.
Obuhi?
Yeah, Obuhi.
I know who you're talking about. I can't pronounce the name either.
Yeah, so
if you can't pronounce a name and you don't even know him, then
because we don't say it enough. We don't say it enough.
What the hell? Why didn't we get him?
We don't say it enough.
See, they're saying win is a win. I think when could he both of these guys are former first-round picks, so they obviously have some pedigree.
Yeah.
Hopefully, a new system. They come in here and they do well. But like you say, Shell was really good, but I think the reason the Dolphins chose Wynn over him because Armstead gets hurt a lot, and Wynn does grade better out at left tackle.
Yeah, he's
Shell
a good
beats
left
him
tackle.
at right tackle. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you have to fill in, Wynn's going to be probably won't at least get to a kill from the left, that side. So I think that's where they picked Wynn over Shell is because he can play left better.
No, I agree. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead, Danny. Go ahead.
There's a move that I didn't like that the Dolphins made last year. And I didn't like that they traded for Bradley Chubb and gave up a first-round pick. That first-round pick would have been that offensive lineman. And honestly, I don't think Bradley Chubb was a need. I know Emmanuel Akbar was.
Oh, you're with me. See, I can agree with a Jets fan for the first time in a long time. I did not like that trade.
No, I don't think it was necessary.
I agree 100%. It was like we're getting close. This is going to put us over the top. I just didn't like it from the get-go.
And he's another injury-prone guy. He's another injury-prone guy.
I hope he makes me eat my words and he goes out and has an all-pro season, puts up double-digit sacks, helps the other people get pressure. But I just didn't see it. I would much rather have held on to that, even though it was a late first-round pick. I much would have rather held on to that and help our team that way. But
hey guys,
an offensive lineman.
Let me take a little break here for a second.
Sure.
I appreciate all of you joining in the chat tonight. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends, your families, and neighbors. We couldn't do this show without you, and that's all I wanted to say. Drive on.
Yeah. So, but anyway. But I don't agree with you on some of the Chris Greer draft because to me, 2020, if Tua goes on and is the franchise quarterback like we all hope, then that's great. But then you look at those, that was 3 first-round picks that we had in 2020, and 2 of them already didn't get the 5th-year option. So we're all resting our hopes on Tua because if he will save that draft if Tua comes on and be the guy that we think he can be if healthy. But if he's not, that's a blown 2020 draft. I mean, you had 3 first-round picks that were supposed to change the face of the franchise. Yeah. And if Tua doesn't ball out, it already looks like Austin Jackson and Igbo are bad picks.
Yeah, Austin. Danny could tell you, Rob, right before that draft started back in 2020, he's like, "Who do you want?" And I was saying Justin Herbert for months, and everybody's like, "Oh, but he played at Oregon. He didn't really have that much competition." I said, it's easier for an Alabama quarterback to look great when you're surrounded by nothing but NFL talent. But Justin Herbert was doing his thing at Oregon with not the same type of talent that Tua had around him. And then the fact that Tua was getting hurt already at college, I was like, small quarterback getting hit by these humongous defensive linemen. We're not going to have the same type of talent around Tua. Obviously, now we do. That he was going to have when he was first coming in. And even listen, I ate my crow last year. I said the fact that Tua was playing the way he was playing, I won't go back and change a thing. And I still say that right now. I think Tua will get his ish together this upcoming season. He's going to stay healthy. Am I going to see a full 17 games? Probably not. We probably won't see a full 17 games out of Tua, but I think he's going to be somewhere in the upwards of 14 games that he might be on the field for. Right. But I did want Justin Herbert coming out of college. But listen, I'm all Tua now.
Oh, I'm all Tua. I'm all anyone that wears the aqua and orange. I'm all for them. I want them to do well, and I still like Tua, but it just stinks going into our 4th year with him. We still don't know if he's the guy because for numerous reasons, mainly because of availability. He just hasn't been available, and it's sad because I thought by this point we'd be well into our franchise quarterback. He would already been signed to the big fat money extension. Correct. So
here's the $1 million question, and this is to both Manny and Danny down there.
Yeah,
Danny, I'll go with you first because we've already heard a little bit of what Manny has already said about Tua Tagovailoa. Do you think, being a Jets fan, being objective, do you think Tua Tagovailoa is our Miami Dolphins franchise quarterback, or can he be a franchise quarterback?
That's a tricky question. Can he be if he stays healthy? 100%. My question wasn't his accuracy because obviously he's very accurate. I love a left-handed quarterback. It just looks unorthodox coming out of the pocket.
I'm lefty.
There you go.
Same here. That's why I like you, Steve.
There you go.
So I do think if he can stay healthy, he can be that guy. The question is the health. So honestly, it's a tricky question because you really don't know. You can't really measure out how healthy he can be. I mean, he looks a little thicker. I don't know if that helps. I don't know if he's going to have a bigger helmet or what exactly is going to help. He practiced jiu-jitsu, trying to practice how to land. I mean, I guess right there should have told you that they weren't going to give him any protection. I do think that he could be that guy, though. My question was his deep ball, and last year he proved he can throw the deep ball, so that's not even a question anymore. Nobody should ever bring that up anymore because he's proved it now. So I think Tua can be that guy if he can stay upright. I do think so. And just real quick, Evan Posner said Chubb was gonna, I don't know, tear the house down with Vic Fangio or something. He's played under Vic already. Yeah, he did not perform well under Vic. If you look up at the numbers, me and Manny had an episode on it.
Reed outperformed him sack-wise, believe it or not.
So there was a season where everybody's like, "Oh, but he got injured halfway through the year." Yeah, he played half the season. I think he had 0 sacks. Like, he did not perform well under Vic. I'm not saying that that's going to happen again. Right. What I'm saying is I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, that's it. Vic is going to unleash him." He's already played under him, and it didn't work out very well.
Right. So I like to say. Anyone that wears the Auckland orange, I root for. I just didn't like it.
I get it, of course.
I just didn't like that he also came with the bag of money you had to give him when I knew that.
I didn't like the first round draft pick that he took to get him. That's what I didn't like.
So moving on. Manny, we've already heard a little bit of what you said about Tua. Give us your brief little synopsis about the question I just asked Danny, if he's a franchise quarterback, or can he be a franchise quarterback?
So going into it when he was drafted and coming onto the Dolphins, we were all questioning if his body could stay healthy, right? Mm-hmm. Last year, it had nothing to do with the body. It was concussions. So for the most part, and I try to separate the two guys. Obviously, I know health is health. But if we're talking about just his body first and foremost, he obviously got his body to a point where he could take the abuse of an NFL season, take the hit, get right back up, and be able to keep his body healthy. Now, last year, I told Danny, I strongly believe, and I hope I'm right, that it's a one-off. That the way he banged his head in that Buffalo game, and everybody tried to call it a back injury, the fact that you threw him out there 3 days later, and then he took a massive hit that, by the way, I believe was 100% on him. The fact that he did not get rid of that ball sooner, still rushed back into the pocket, and then still took that massive hit. I think that was a reason why even the Packers game, he took another light hit, boom, another concussion. I think these are all one-offs. I think the fact that he got his body to the point where I could take the abuse of an NFL season, now we got to give him the protection of learning how to fall. You don't have to hit your head on the way down, but I think Tua Tagovailoa is definitely an NFL franchise quarterback. I believe this is a season where, and by the way, another big ups to Chris Greer. I like the fact that he did pick up his 5th-year option because I think you need to see him this year before you give him the bag. If he can stay healthy, no more concussion problems, that body maintains, and he lights it up the way he was lighting up last season before that road trip, I think we're in good hands moving forward. Now, Rob, I'm sure you know, especially talking about Chris Greer and cap management, even if he gives him that bag this following season, then you got to pay Christian Wilkins. You got to pay Javon Holland coming down the line. You got to pay all these other guys. It's like we're going to start losing some of this talent. So the window for us to win is like right now.
Oh, no,
thank you. Sure. Thank you. That's what I've been saying to a lot of folks. The window to win is not 2 years. It's not 3 years. It's right now. It's because I've been bringing up the same thing. Waddle's going to want his bag. Zealer's going to want his bag. Wilkins is going to want his bag. Connor Williams wants his bag right now.
And if Tua becomes a man, he's going to get his bag.
So there's like 14 or 15 of our starters presently that are going to want their bag either next year or the following year.
Yep. So, I mean, it all opened the gates when they made the move for Tyreek Hill that changed the tables on everything because everyone, the Dolphins are building. But then when you trade a whole bunch of draft picks, give Tyreek Hill, I mean, listen, we're all happy to have Tyreek Hill here. Right. But when you make that move, you reset everyone's expectations and that you're telling the fan base we're winning now. Right. And that's what they did. And they went and made that move and done it. That's what they did. They told the world, I would never forget. I was up in Gainesville, just about to head back. And my son's in the back seat telling me the Dolphins might get Tyreek Hill. I'm like, it's just one of those rumors. I mean, just happened within minutes. Normally rumors last weeks and weeks, like this whole Dalvin Cook. They end up, it's down between
Good
the
point,
Jets
Scott.
and the Dolphins. I'm like, oh, he's probably going to go to the Jets. He goes, oh my God, he's coming to the Dolphins. I'm like, I look for the next exit on I-75. I go, honey, you're driving. And I'm talking to my wife. My wife's driving, and she starts driving so I could look at it. I cannot believe it happened like that. But with that said, they opened the window saying, we're going to win now. And all this rebuilding, and that we're building with draft picks, and we're going to the future with that. And that's how we're going to build from now on. That all got thrown out the window, and we got Tyreek Hill.
And I know you guys got more to get to, Steven. Just one final point, because I know he brought it up, that you need to see more of Tua against elite defenses. I agree with that point. But again, I think we could all agree that Mike McDaniel didn't really set him up for success in a lot of positions. Like, again, not running the ball enough last season was a big one. Like, take the ball out of Tua's hands a little bit, hand the ball off a little bit more. When the adjustments came, like when you saw him not play well against San Francisco, except for that one touchdown that literally Trent Sherfield right off the back, the rest of the game, he played subpar. Against the Chargers, he played subpar. In Buffalo, I thought he played really well, but the fact that he played really well in Buffalo was the fact that we were running the ball so effectively. So I think if Mike McDaniel learns anything, is you got to put Tua in a position to succeed by running the rock more this upcoming season.
And I agree with you, Manny, 100% on that. I also agree with you that Chris Greer did make a great decision on giving Tua the fifth-year option.
No, that was a no-brainer. Yeah.
Now, here's what a lot of people don't like. And I'm not a Tua fan, let's just say. I'm a Dolphin fan, but I'm not any individual fan of anybody, okay? But I'm going to tell you about Tua. And Danny brought this up. We saw the deep ball. Yes, he can throw the deep ball, but it's the placement. It's the ball placement. And I talked about this last week. His velocity on the footballs, he leaves it hanging up there too long. And if you go back, I don't know if you all watch the All 22. You don't even have to do that. Just watch the games or whatever. Look at how many times Jalen Waddle and the fastest man in the NFL had to come back for the ball and catch it and make the plays. That's what I don't like about Tua. You can't fix that. What you can fix is what Mike McDaniel is doing, is by placing that camera on his helmet and helping him out reading the defenses. And that's where you can help him out.
I want to see what you're seeing, Tua. Let's see what you're seeing is basically why Mike McDaniel did this.
He doesn't have a lot of velocity on that football.
Yeah, but I think
a lot of times he loses control of the ball when he has to force it. Because a lot of times McDaniel put him, like you said it, Manny. Mike McDaniel has put Tua in a bad position and hasn't set him up for success by forcing the ball to Tyreek, forcing the ball to Waddle. When his best game, yes, he can throw the ball deep, but his best playing is dinking and dunking in 10 to 15 yard intermediate passes. That's where he's success at. He was a master dinking and dunking.
Well, we're going to see, man. Like I said, McDaniel was a rookie coach. You can go.
I think that Tua might have the advantage that he has so much speed at the receiver position that even if it's not necessarily on the money, there's usually enough cushion or a separation between the receiver and the cornerback that I don't like. It's not very noticeable. Like, you have to really be looking out for it because
I agree.
It's just a completion because there's so much separation.
So what I'm saying,
I
Danny,
give that to you.
Danny, is he left a lot of TDs on the field. If he could get that ball to Tyreek when he's on the run, like he did to Waddle in that San Diego game, like he did to Sherfield in that San Francisco game on the run, those are touchdowns every time. But he didn't do that, and that's what I'm criticizing his play on.
Yeah.
See, Steve, you get me all choked up when you start talking about Tua.
And I do say no. And there's a lot of good about Tua. I'm not saying
I know.
Right.
I'm just criticizing what I feel, critiquing what I feel are his limitations, and they're just limitations. Everybody, all quarterbacks have limitations. He has a quick release. Nobody in this league has a quicker release, in my opinion. Okay, he has a very good release.
Yeah.
I hope they go. I think McDaniel. That's what I was going to say when I got all choked up.
Yeah, he can throw from.
Learned.
Tua can throw from every angle. He can throw off the foot, underhand, overhand. He's good at that, you know. But his limitations are his ball velocity and his ball placement.
Right, and I think though Mike McDaniel will step up. He's learned, like he said. I think he's going to play more into his strengths. And
I agree, and it's like
going to probably
said.
pound him. Listen, if it's not there right away, dunk it off. You got running backs that can catch the ball well. A-Chain also has been added to the stable now. He's going to be elite coming out of the backfield catching the ball, because people are going to have to run with, no matter what. Even if you don't throw it to them, you have to run with Waddle and got to run with Hill down there. So that's just going to open up that underneath speed, to come in. They're going to be, H going to be coming up, running 30 miles per hour behind them, So it's going to be fun getting these kids out there. And I think there's hope. It's just a wide open division, just like in my freaking baseball division. The Red Sox are off a little bit this year, but if they were in another division, they would be competitive. But they're just like in the best darn division, and so are my Dolphins in the best darn division. So
well, I think they have one of the best rosters in football right now. They're never going to get another roster like this.
Yeah,
they do. But the deficiencies that you're talking about that Tua has, I think most defenses before the season started last year kind of knew that. And that's why I've always pointed when I talked to Manny on our show, that Ravens game, they didn't respect his long ball. No. They weren't playing cover 2 in that fourth quarter. Right. They tempted him and they let him throw it deep. That game, he proved you have to respect it. It may not be perfect, but I can do it. And he did it in that fourth quarter. Right. And at that point, I don't know if Mike McDaniel got really excited and he goes, maybe I can do this more often. And he kept doing it. But before that game, nobody, me included, respected his long ball.
No, I know. I agree. That opened up things and opened up people's eyes.
That fourth quarter changed things because you had to respect it after that game.
That's true. But towards the second half of the season, they caught on to what Tua was doing. And that's the problem. And that's what I'm afraid of this year.
Well, now it's time for us to make a judgment.
Exactly. The defenses had all year, not all year, but all this offseason to go over film after film after film after film on Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins offense.
But now we can
counter that.
Work, right? We've had all offseason to work and counter it.
Yes, we've had. That's a good point, Ron.
And this is going to see how good McDaniel is. I think he's a good coach. I think we finally got the right coach.
I do too.
I'm not just doing that because of his swag and his coolness. I just think he seems to understand. He has enough toughness, but a niceness at the same time. I think it's a good combination of the both. People know they have to perform if he's not going to be in the doghouse. He's not going to be out there. I know some fans want to see the guys that are yelling. Yeah. He's never going to be that. The most you ever see, like in the Lions game when they jumped off sides a couple times, he walked down and said, F and fix this. That's about this. It's demonstrated if you're ever going to get into Steve. And then they fixed it and they didn't make those moves because they're like, oh my God, if Mike just talked to me like that, I must have really been performing bad. So, and he fixed it. So, we'll see. This is his second year. We give him a little bit of a, pass for his first season. At least he's admitted. A lot of coaches won't come out and admit what they did wrong. He would say, oh, the team did this. And he said, I sucked at the clock management and I sucked by going away from the run. So let's see. He should have learned. Hopefully he backed it up. And I know we're almost at time, Steve. I just looked.
No, we're good. We're good. We still got 6 minutes. But also, I just want to make a comment about Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel is an innovative coach. He kept the Miami Dolphins in a lot of those games. I mean, the Buffalo game, the playoff game, playing with what? A third string, 7th round drafted quarterback?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, come on. So he's done a lot. I think I think he is the future for the Miami Dolphins as far as the coaching is concerned.
What's the over under for you guys on this season as far as wins goes?
Well, anything less than 10, it's a disappointing season. You got to get double-digit wins. I mean, I don't care. It's a tough. I know we got a brutal schedule. I don't base it on last year, though, because some teams that we say are going to be great, they're going to have a fallback. Some teams that we say are going to be an easy win are going to improve. So I don't believe in that, but it is a tough schedule because you got to face Mahomes. You got to face Rodgers twice, Josh Allen twice. You got to face the Cowboys. You got to face, there's brutal teams. It's not going to be easy. This never is in the NFL, but I don't care. You did all these moves, gave up draft picks that you were supposedly building with from now on. You had given up the big con. They went and signed all these guys. They changed their game plan midway. So there's no excuse for anything under than 10.
Yeah.
12 or disappointment. Wow.
Yeah, I'm with you. It'd be very disappointing if anything 10 or under, of course. I project. I'm going to make a projection, and I made this projection last year as well. And I call this show Real Talk for a reason.
Okay.
Because I don't hold nothing back. I tell you how I feel. Keep it real on this show. I'm going to say 11-6.
Okay, that's better than what I thought you were going to say.
No, I'm going to say 11-6. Yeah, realistically 11-6. Now, I think their ceiling is probably
13.
No, I would say 12.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say 12-5.
I think it's a window from 10 to 12, 10 to 13 maybe, but 10 to 10 is the floor. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Even if we don't get 10 and somehow we sneak into the playoffs again, I'd be shocked because, we'll see though, because some teams may start beating each other up and records won't be as good as we think.
So we're going to get an objective point of view here. Danny, what did you say?
I say 11. I say 11-6. I'm
11-6.
I think, and I think that anything less than 10.
Anything less than 10.
And anything less than 10 for the Dolphins, I think is a disappointment. The Jets, I think they can go 12 or 13 wins. I mean, I said that they could win the division, so 12 or 13 would have to be the number.
Right.
Obviously, in the NFL, injuries change a season completely with an opponent or your own team, so you never really know. But I do think the Dolphins should end up with 11, 10 at worst, and I think that the Jets'
first game is Buffalo.
It is Monday night, 9/11.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It's a tough one. In New York. 9/11.
Oh, it's in New York. Okay.
Yeah, in New York, 9/11. So I'm hoping to be out there.
That's given like Buffalo. The NFL gave them no respect.
One tidbit: if nobody's ever looked at it, especially who wants to see Jets schedule, but I encourage you. I've shit on Danny so much about this. Go look at the New York Jets schedule this year. They have somebody in that front office working for them. I'm just telling you that right now. They favored that Jets schedule as far as their first. What was it, Danny? The first 6 games you guys are at home. 5 of them. Yeah. Yes, and look, in case anybody ever gets bored and wants to watch a quick. Yeah, if it wants to watch just a quick episode, we did a preview episode and I broke it down. We have no games against anybody that's coming off of a bye or a mini bye. Like our schedule is set up as perfectly as it possibly could be. I with the
you've got somebody in the front office for sure.
Yeah, all that New York love going on up there at
with,
those offices.
With the roster and the schedule, the way it's laid out, there's many reasons why I think that the Jets should be favorites to win the division.
All right.
Are you better than Kansas City, though?
With that note, guys, we're going to have to close the show down. I really don't want to do it, man.
Thank you, guys.
I'm
don't
really
forget
having
to
a lot
like
of
and
fun
subscribe.
here.
Like and subscribe and check these guys' channels out.
So,
it's great.
Danny, one of you, where can they find you guys again?
Bearded Fanatic on Twitter, Battered Fan himself on Twitter. Again, the host is the Battered Phins Fan show on YouTube. We drop them on all platforms, SoundCloud, all that good stuff. I mean, SoundCloud, sorry, Apple, Google, all that good stuff. We're on all of that, man.
All right, great.
Battered Jets fans, if you're ever interested.
Yeah, I would go follow that one. I follow the Bearded and whatever, but I go because I'm on here on YouTube too, as well as Dolphins.
Battered Herons. Any soccer fans? Messi. The rumors are cooking. It's happening in the next couple days. The next couple days, Messi will be in Miami. So
Anthony Manzano's a big soccer fan. You may have a new fan. Anthony, make sure you follow his channel.
Battered Herons on YouTube and Twitter.
All right, guys, we're gonna have to cut off.
Hands up, Dolphins number 1,
always,
baby.
Remember, Dolphins number 1.
Hands up, Dolphins number 1.
Dolphins number 1.
And